Hi there everyone, it's Jaakko here. Recently I created this pattern in Substance Designer and I'd like to go through a couple of techniques that I use to create this. So if you look at this type of a weave, or if you look, it's look like a fish scales, and also if you turn it this way you can see that it looks like roof tiles. So if you have these roof slates or whatever they're called, this technique can be basically used for create those type of things as well. But so let's just take a look. So if you try to analyze this pattern, you can see that these rings are sort of overlapping, and that's actually not as simple as I thought to create. So I just basically thought that I'm gonna make some rings in Designer and then just put some tile generator, but it is a little bit more complicated, but we'll get to that. So here we are. So again, I'm not going to really focus on doing the fabric thing. There's more fabric tutorials on internet, probably better than I can come up with. So if you just want to make fabric, you can just search that, but I'm going to focus on this pattern instead, creating this and how we can come up with something like this. So for the ring first, there's actually a bunch of different ways we can do this. These actually the guys in Allegorithmic pointed this Cartesian topological grayscale, which basically turns this into this. So this is one way. The way how I actually did it earlier, I just created it like this Gaussian this sort of a gradient thing in here, and then I just sort of moved it around and scale it a little bit, and then create a gradient map like this. And this was actually not so easy. And then you have like this in the inner circle, when you look at the gradient, it gets like pretty white in here, and then you get this kind of a little bit blurriness. So this isn't really the best way. I think this has also some uses. In some cases you can do convert basically gradients into stripes and things like that. Something that would never work if you try to do it in Photoshop, but like we're not really dealing with the substance here. So anyway, so I think this is better way. So just take like some stripes, adjust the stripes amounts and width and so on, and these settings like that, and then just drop this one, it automatically does this. So then what I've done is that I'm just masking out the outer circle, so you just get like this target kind of thing in here. So then I just scale it up a little bit and do invert grayscale in here. So then we have this, and you may wonder what the hell are you doing? You're converting it to color, like what? But I figured this out by myself. Actually, I'm pretty proud of myself that we need to get this alpha in here. So we need to get like these guys which are not transparent, and then we need to have the background transparent, and the only way to get alpha is to use a color. So I used RGBR merge, so I just basically merge these to one, and then take this, and this defines that the black is gonna be transparent, and then the white is gonna be opaque. So I'll be getting this. So then this is basic tool for us to make this pattern. So now the tricky part begins. So look at this. So this is pretty close. If you just take one tile sampler and you adjust the settings, which I'm going to show you in a moment, you get this, and this is pretty close, but you can see that we have these weird things, and this is the way how it should be. This actually behaves just exactly as you would expect. So I'm using two of them, and I'm gonna get into that moment, this magic, how this is gonna come together. So again, big thanks to Allegorithmic guys. I'm gonna link to the forum post in the description, so you can check our conversation. You can check the very, very kind advice that I got there. And again, if you're doing substance and you hit sort of roadblock, you don't know what to do, it's always a good idea to post to the forums in Allegorithmic, because it's very likely that some people from Allegorithmic or some other user is gonna chime in and give you very good advice. So definitely, if you hit a roadblock, don't stop, don't give up, just post a question to the forums, and trust me, you'll get some results, and then figure the rest out by yourself, hopefully. So anyway, yes, so So I think the best way, because I'm gonna get complaint, some people are gonna complain to the comments, so why didn't you just do it? So I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do a tile sampler color. So let's drop this guy in there. So then I'm gonna take the transparent background and plug that guy in, so we get the same result as there. And then I'm gonna take maybe this one and reuse this one in here, and then go in here and do pattern input as a pattern, so we are getting somewhere. So the real thing about this is that you can see that these shapes are sort of interwoven, like they are overlapping, and I was really wondering how I'm going to do this, and again with a little help I was able to come up with this result. And the real trick how this works is that we have to sort of figure out the amount of this. You can see that there's way more of these rings in y-axis than there's in the x-axis, and that's the thing that we have to accomplish. So we need to bump up the y amount in relation to x amount, and I was able to come up with a number that actually this is 4 times, so the ratio is 1:4. So I'm gonna do some 1:4 ratio in here. So I think I'm gonna check that. So I actually use like 6 and 24 in here, so you can see that 6 times per 4 is 24. So I'm gonna just put like 6 in here, and then 24 in here, like so. So now we are getting this, and this is like rubbish. You can see it's strange, but as you can know, there's a way to fix this, and we can just go and scale this. So we have like this size 1 and 1 in here. So what we can do in here is that we can change the ratio to match. So we remember it's 1:4. So I'm just going to click 4 in here. So this should give us this, and look at this. We are already getting somewhere. Yes, right? And there's some weirdness happening here, but we're going to get to that later. So now obviously we need to offset. So we need to make this offset thing happen. And again, there's a way to do that. There's offset value in here. I'm just gonna drag this guy to 0.5, and you can see, wow, again, looks like we're getting somewhere. So again, we need to adjust the scale obviously to match that, and I think we can just find some value. I think like 1.4 is maybe something that I could use. So actually this is pretty close, as you can see. If you look at from this, you can already see we're done basically. But well, there's a little bit more than this than that. So yes, we can do that. So we have now done our first tile sampler color. So what we need to do is that we need to create another one, and we need to offset it like I did in here. Is that we need to play with the global offset values in here. That those values need to be something that works. So I'm gonna duplicate this. So I'm just gonna select that and copy paste and do that, and then I'm gonna hit select this one, do blend in here, and then I'm gonna blend these guys together. We can just let this blend to be default, use source alpha, so this will automatically pick up the alpha and use alpha transparency to blend them. We don't need to use any blending modes. So now I'm gonna get in here and change some things, so you can see that it's just tiles all over the place and we don't have any control over this. So let's change that. So we need to change the tiling. So I'm gonna go in here and we just find the tiling settings in here. So we can see tiling mode is by default H and V. So I'm gonna go in here, hit absolute, and do just the horizontal tiling and get rid of the vertical tiling. And then I'm gonna click this one again and do the same thing for this one. Just do the simple horizontal tiling only. So now we need to offset this, and we can just find some value that works for us. So I have this blend node in here, and maybe I could just double click this one perhaps and click this one once so we can see what we are doing. So we could use the global offset value, for example, now to offset in let's say only Y, and we can see that now it did something. Let's see. Actually, it's probably better if we preview this so we can see that what it's doing. It's actually moving it like so, and I found that some values work better for us, and actually we need to probably adjust some things more. So I'm gonna preview it here. I'm gonna just copy the values because I don't remember what I used. I used like I think so 1 and 2. Yeah, so it's like 1 on the X and 2 in the Y, so I'm just gonna copy those values in here. So, then what I notice is that this has to be the other way around, so this has to be on the top and this has to be on the bottom. So this should give us pretty much the perfect result. So again, what I'm doing in here, so I'm doing first the other layer, sort of like, I think I'm doing the top first and then I'm just doing the bottom at the second, and then I'm blending them together and then getting this result. So this is it. This works perfectly. It goes seamlessly. So as you can see, tile sampler color is very powerful. There's also the monochrome version of this, so if you could just go here and tile sampler, you can see that we have this grayscale version of that, but the color works with the alpha, so we can take advantage of the alpha in some patterns such as this, and then we can do this. We could use these for like fish scales or like roof tiles or some kind of like armor where you have those plates that are layered like that and so on. There's many things we could do. We could also use this tile sampler to put some, for example, some dirt in some, if you have some tiles or something like that, then you can use this to put detail in very specific places. So this is definitely very powerful node to use, and it's also something that just the best way to learn it is just by trying and trial and error, and then when you hit the roadblock, then just go to algorithmic forums and don't be afraid to ask, and don't be ashamed to admit that yeah, we need to learn this stuff. And Substance Designer is so powerful tool that it just takes it's sort of like a journey, like you would imagine some Japanese Zen master somewhere just meditating in the mountains and admitting that yeah, we don't know everything. So yes, this is it. I hope you can find something useful out of this little tutorial, and this same technique could be used for many other things. So yeah, that's for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. This was Jaakko. Bye bye.